Welcome to the Learning Hub series on APA 7th edition style. If you haven't yet checked out the first video on APA basics, go watch that and then come back for this one. In this second video, we will cover the formatting guidelines of APA style, and in the rest of the series, we will get into the details related to in-text citations and end references. We hope that by the end of the series, you'll have a strong grasp of APA style and will be able to successfully employ it in your writing for your classes. The first aspect of APA formatting to explain is the title page. The 7th edition of APA now distinguishes between title page formatting for a professional paper meant for publication and a student-written work, and we will outline the student-focused guidelines in this video. Now, you won't always need a title page for every paper you write for your classes. Professors often waive it as a requirement for shorter papers or less formal assignments. It's always a good idea to ask if they want you to include it. If you do need it, here's what you do. Use a basic font type like Calibri or Times New Roman and a typical font size like 11 or 12. Have 1-inch margins on all sides, which is the default, but it's still good to check. Double space everything in the paper. Place the page number right aligned in the header of every page, including the title page, but don't worry about a running head. It's no longer required for student papers. On the actual page, place the title in bold, center aligned, about 3 or 4 lines down from the top. Use what's called title case capitalization, where all words are capitalized except for trivial words like prepositions, conjunctions, and articles, unless they're the first word of the title or subtitle. Add an extra line below that, and then add the following, each on their own line. Your name, the department and institution, the class call number and full title, your professor's name, and finally, the date. For what each of these should look like in particular, we recommend checking out the Learning Hub's sample formatted paper you can find on our website. It's annotated with additional information and context to help you make the most of your title page formatting. Next, we will briefly discuss the abstract. The abstract is a brief, comprehensive summary of the major parts of the paper. You write the word abstract in bold, capitalized at the top of the page, centered. Interestingly, you do not use first-line indents in an abstract, just flush with the left margin for all the paragraphs you include. You may use section labels if appropriate, such as methods, results, or discussion, or similar parts of the paper. Lastly, you can include a list of keywords at the end of the abstract if they are helpful context, and the APA Style Guide gives formatting details for that if you're interested in learning more. The abstract is another element that is not often required, as it's usually only used in longer papers that benefit from a quick summary at the start, so please check with your professor to see if it's needed. If you do need one, your abstract summary shouldn't be any longer than 250 words and is on its own page after the title page, with the actual beginning of your paper starting on the next page after the abstract. Now we can talk about the core of your paper, how to format the main text. Well, some of the basics include maintaining consistency with the font type and size, the margins, the spacing, and the page number continued from the title page. Otherwise, the new formatting guidelines are that you place the title at the top of the page, center aligned and bold, in title case capitalization. Directly beneath that, you begin your paper. All paragraphs in the core of your paper require a first line indent of 1/2 inch, and you shouldn't have any additional paragraph spacing or extra spacing between your paragraphs. P.S. You can set this to 0 in the Layout tab of Word where it says spacing and then before and after. The other major component of formatting in the main body of your paper is the heading structure outlined by the APA style guidelines. Headings are used to label the sections of your paper, and APA provides formatting for 5 levels of headings. They are each in ascending order a subsection of the previous, so 1 is the topmost, underneath that is level 2, under that is level 3, and so on. You want to make sure you have a paper worth using headings to designate the flow and structure. Not all papers warrant headings. In addition, you want to make sure you have content that merits the levels of headings you choose to include. At least 2 of each, if not more, is a good rule of thumb. Otherwise, fold the subsection into the larger section and use your writing rather than the label to help your reader follow the flow. If your paper does need headings, then use the chart on this slide to format your headings properly. Pause the video to screenshot if you need to. As an additional PS, you should never have a heading for your introduction. The title at the top of the first page of your paper serves as a clue that the first part is the introduction. Use headings for subsections following the introduction and your thesis statement. The last segment of APA formatting to cover is the references page. The references page is where you list the full citations of the sources you used in your paper. For the formatting of the page, here's what you need. Start your references on a new page following the last page of the main text of your paper. Include all the sources that you used in the paper, no more nor less, with full details for what the source is and where it comes from. For guidelines on what those citations should look like, check out the 4th video in our series. Otherwise, remain consistent with the same font size, type, and style, margins, and double spacing. Write the word references in bold at the top of the page, center aligned and capitalized. Then immediately below it, incorporate your citations. They should have a hanging indent, which is where the first line is flush with the left margin, in other words, all the way to the left, and any subsequent lines are indented ½ inch. The Hub has a video for how to format a hanging indent in our sample formatted paper handout listed on our website if you need help with this. For now, note that it isn't as simple as hitting enter at the end of each line and then tab to bump it over. You need to use the tabbing function of the page to do it correctly. Lastly, make sure you don't have any additional spacing between the citations. It just should be double spacing and nothing extra. Before we move on, we want to highlight the fact that most students write their papers in 2 common word processors, Microsoft Word and Google Docs. Both of them are valid ways to complete your coursework, but it's very important to understand how to use them to fit a style guide's formatting requirements, APA or otherwise. The Learning Hub's resources primarily offer guidance for Word users, but we are continuously working on adapting our materials to also include advice for Docs users. When in doubt, search online for help with what options to click and how to navigate the menus to properly do things like a hanging indent or aligning text. We know you can do it. This concludes our 2nd video on APA style. Check out part 3 where we'll go over APA's guidelines for in-text citation. If you have additional questions or would like to set up an appointment to have a tutor review your writing or offer further resources on APA style, please contact us through the information on the slide or by using our Make an Appointment form on our website. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.